I can be a dick and I can talk shit,
Right.
but I just haven't felt the need for it
Right,
yet.
right.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah, no, it's challenging, man. It's challenging. You get that stigma that you're a wrestler, and everyone's just like, oh, he don't got hands and stuff. I was really small in high school. I weighed like 80 pounds my freshman year. The first time I broke it, it was obviously a little bit more serious, but after the surgery and stuff, I kind of just got fat. Fighting a guy who's been boxing his whole life, you know, and I'm trying to beat him in his world, like, I gotta be smart too. I can't let my ego take over.
Bienvenido,
What's up?
we're back. Otro episodio de Spanglish. Gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. Hoy es el episodio, we're going to be talking about artes marciales mixtas. Y hoy tenemos un peleador, un orgullo mexicano, Aaron Beltran. Aaron, introduce yourself, carnal. Where are you from? What is it that you do? And where's your family from?
I got you. Thanks for having me, first and foremost.
Absolutely,
you know,
brother. Absolutely.
Appreciate that. Been a big fan of your podcast since you kind of started it, so it's exciting.
Humbled, thank you.
But I'm from Denver. I was born in Denver. Grew up in Las Cruces, Nuevo Mexico, for some time, and then but my family's from Chihuahua. That's kind of why we moved to Cruces, because it's somewhere in between. You know, Denver, ground. Yeah, because my mom's from Longmont, and my dad's from Chihuahua, so kind of just Las Cruces worked out. We lived there for a while, then kind of realized there wasn't much there for us. So we moved back to Denver.
Gotta keep it moving.
It's like, I know I was sad when I left, but then now I visited a little bit older, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God I got out of there.
And shout out to all the homies from New Mexico, because I love New Mexico. I don't know why, like we drive past there a lot, and cuando vamos para Mexico or to Cali sometimes.
It's enchanted, bro. It's truly the land of enchantment.
I'll say this, to this day, the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen, Nuevo Mexico. Hands down.
Yeah, the architecture, though, I love that. Like, although there'll be houses
Spanish,
and stuff. Yeah.
The heavy Spanish, churches everywhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's wild.
The Battle of Green Chili.
Yeah.
Man.
It's funny, like, anytime you ask a New Mexican, that sounds funny saying it, New Mexican and a Coloradan, they're like, who has better chili? Like, they're like, oh, it's here.
They go to war.
They go to war. It's a thing. It's a thing. It's like,
I'm going to say something right now that people aren't going to like.
What is it?
I'm not a big green chili fan.
You're not?
Nah.
You're my way. I really have to be in the mood, and that's maybe just like, estoy muy acostumbrado con comida tradicional mexicana.
Sí, yo
so
también.
Like that New Mexican, Colorado, Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
It seems very different.
Yeah.
So I gotta be really in the mood for it.
Yeah, it's like really hangover food for me. You know, like
una cruda. Las papas, some smothered fries.
Pero todos se me antoja más un menudo.
There you go. Un menudo, unos chilaquiles, something. I'll take that in it. But shout out to all the homies from New Mexico. They got some beautiful places out there. What happened to your eye?
Oh, man. Come on.
¿Dónde metiste la pata, güey? No, it's funny because right when you walked in, bro, I was like, yep, you're definitely like mid-training, mid-sparring sessions.
I looked the part.
There you go. You're like, I had to make it believable.
No nomás soy carita. You know what I'm saying?
No nada más soy guapo.
Nah, well, every Tuesday, Friday, we spar and stuff, so... like I was telling you earlier, sometimes you're the nail, sometimes you're the hammer. On Friday, I was definitely the nail.
The nail.
I was a little humble, kind of got my butt kicked. Everyone, all my like coworkers and stuff, when I show up to work all the time, like black eyes and stuff, they're just like, damn, bro, you know you block like this, not like with your face. Like,
no, I didn't know.
I'm like, dude, I know. Dude, what do you think? I'm going to block everything?
Que cura, güey. Y me da risa. I wanted to touch that. That's one of the things I want to touch on, güey. One of the funniest things que me caga y me da risa, when you hear everyone turn into like fight experts, and it's, to me, like, again, I'm been in some fights, but I've never been like a fighter, right? So every time, like, como desde chiquitos, right? Like, I feel like muchos mexicanos, we grew up watching boxing, specifically boxing. Like, that was like Saturday traditions, con la familia, nos juntábamos todos. And everyone turned into a fucking boxing expert out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's funny. Todos los tíos are like, nah. I was like, my man, you've never been in the ring ever in your life. Some of y'all have never even been in a fight ever, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
¿Qué piensas tú, güey, cuando la gente, ay, que sabe qué, la.
Actually, bro, that's why I'd rather watch like the UFC fights and stuff at home.
Yeah.
Cause you go to a bar, bro, and you're just sitting there,
fake tough guys,
and you just hear all these guys talking like, "Why doesn't he just get up? Why are they wrestling?
Exactly.
Like, why are they doing this?" And you're just like, "Bro, shut up."
They're like, you have no idea what you're talking about. But the thing, like a lot of the I speak for dudes, but like a lot of dudes will be like, yeah, like that would never happen and bad. Like that. Like, my man, you've never been hit in your life. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
until you've been taking that nice punch to the nose and smell that smell when you get hit in the nose.
Yeah.
You
and
know
your
what I'm talking
eyes
about.
get a little watery.
Yeah, eyes get a little watery. So you feel that smell and that, like, I don't want to hear it.
It's something that you have to get, like, used to. It's like, you know, muscle memory. Like, getting punched, like, you have to teach your body to get used to that. Because, like, even when I first started, like, when I first started doing MMA, I had tons of wrestling experience, right? But then you get punched in the face.
Yeah, a little baby face.
Yeah, you get socked and you're just like, oh, that changes everything. And your face is like a little like, oh, like, am I okay? Did I, like, you know?
Yeah.
But then you just start getting used to it and you get
¿Cómo es eso, güey? La gente, because I think, especialmente raza, like, we're new to the MMA game still, relatively. Like, as a culture, va creciendo muchísimo. Shout out to, like, Yair and Brandon Moreno, like, really putting on for, like, Mexico specifically. Mexico. Pero mucha gente no sigue el deporte, güey, es nuevo, like, y es tan diferente que el boxeo. Like, it's, you guys are, like, on a whole, I would never want to, I'd rather fight a boxer than an MMA person, because tienen las habilidades de chingarte, ahora sí que parado, con los puños, con los pies.
Los de arriba.
De arriba, de lados, te van a ahorcar, like, what's that been like with picking up all those skills? Porque you come from a wrestling background, right?
Yeah, no, it's challenging, man. It's challenging. You get that stigma that you're a wrestler and everyone's just like, oh, he don't got hands and stuff. But, I mean, I train more striking than anything right now. Like, that's where I put most of my focus, because I could always fall back to my wrestling. Yeah. But I feel like I've come a long way. As one of my coaches, Lavelle, always tells me, we're getting your hands caught up with your wrestling and stuff. And I feel it. I feel confident. Sometimes I find myself in boxing fights, like, with some guys, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm fighting a guy who's been boxing his whole life. You know, and I'm trying to beat him in his world. Like, I got to be smart, too. I can't let my ego take over. And I think you see that too much with a lot of wrestlers, high-level wrestlers that steer too far away from what they were, like, originally good at.
The ego, right? They're like, I'm going to stand toe-to-toe with
the crowd, you know, like, it's an entertainment, too. So you also want to give that to the people.
We talked about that for, like, common folk, como nosotros, el espectador. Somos bien morbosos, right? So we want to see, like, queremos ver la sangre, queremos ver, like, you know, like, just the violence. And we tend to find, like, the wrestling aspect of it, and even sometimes the jiu-jitsu part of it, like, boring. But that's, like, the deadliest stuff. That's even more deadly, like, than getting knocked out or trying to knock someone out. So, but you're right. Si pasa muy seguido que you're like, you could totally out-wrestle this guy, but you want to stand toe-for-toe, and then you're just going to get caught, and that's it.
You don't want to get caught with something stupid either, you know?
And it takes one punch. Like, you've seen it, I've seen it, like, on the street. It doesn't matter how big you are, no importa qué tanto midas, cuánto peses, cuántas pesas salgas, how muscular you are. Like, it takes one good shot, and a guy half your size can
Everyone's
send you to sleep.
one punch away from winning a match, you know? Like, that's all it is.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Creo que para mí, that's the beauty of combat sports, you know, boxing included, that it's
not over till it's over.
Chess. Yeah, it's a chess match, and it's not over. Like, you can never count under anyone out. You can never underestimate anyone, because it takes a couple pounds of pressure to the jaw, and
good night. We've
seen
it too many times, bro, with all these, especially lately, a lot of greats, you know, like I was just telling you, Alexander Volkanovski got knocked out, you know, Justin Gaethje got knocked out, you know, like, whew.
And it's unexpected, because on paper and their track record, you're like, he's got this fight, or he's you know, he's a favorite. You know,
he got the chin. Like,
exactly.
He has the chin, never been knocked out. Boom.
There's no, I like to think there is such thing as a chin, but There's also no such thing as a chin. Like
then you watch Chito Vera fight, and he just takes a whooping for 5 rounds straight, and you're like,
there's
that
dudes
boy
that
got
are
a
cut
chin.
like that, dude.
It's almost like you're too tough for your own good.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
It's like, I don't know how much that benefited him.
You don't want to. I like you. You kind of want to take that Mayweather mentality. I think he said a few times, like, yeah, like I get paid to box. Like I don't want to get beat up. The least I could get hit and walk out of there and make money, the better, right? That's
100%.
common sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the crowd, nosotros, like, yeah, we want to see you get beat up, but at the end of the day, when y'all retire, like, and you have kids, like, that's gonna be what matters. So you have to be mindful of like how much punishment you take because our bodies are.
I think there's a balance.
Yeah.
I think there's like for me at least, like I was just saying, I don't like to steer away from my wrestling too much. So I like most of the time want to like take them down, wear them out a little bit. Then now like second, third, when we're standing, I'm like, okay, like I still got energy because I could wrestle for days, you know?
Yeah.
So then now we're striking and this guy's tired because he's been carrying my weight for the past round.
2 rounds,
2 rounds, whatever it is. And I'm like, I could be heavy on some dudes, you know? Like I'm just grinding them down, and then they can't, next thing you know, they can't even hold their hands above their chin, you know?
That's when it's...
Yeah, and then now I get to show off the entertainment part and stuff
then
like
you can
that.
really give the crowd, No, and that's funny, like, go back a little bit, how was it? When did you decide? En qué momento you're like, I want to get down. And why MMA specifically? Because, you know, like we said, a lot of us watched boxing growing up, and you were a wrestler, obviously. But did you ever think boxing at all? Or was it just like right away MMA because of the connection between wrestling and MMA?
Probably just wrestling, just because of the connection. I mean, the boxing paychecks...
Nice.
Make you want to be
nice.
I see these people fighting on these celebrity cards.
Dude, that's wild.
Killing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man.
You're like, I'll take a little paycheck against Tyson.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to doing like a boxing fight ever, you know, like later in my career and stuff. But right now I'm focused on the MMA and stuff. But like it's a kind of a wild ride it's been to my journey in MMA. It's kind of just been the pursuit of like being successful, because I started wrestling when I was 4, wrestled all the way up through high school. I was really small. I am small still, but I was really small in high school. I weighed like 80 pounds my freshman year.
No way.
Wrestling 103s.
Yeah.
So then I was good. I just like, if you're wrestling someone that's good and you're small and they're bigger, then it's like,
naturally,
you know what I mean? They're gonna beat you probably. Yeah. But then in sophomore year, I was like 90 pounds, and then junior year, I finally was hitting the hundreds, you know? But so I feel like I didn't get to accomplish what I felt I could have accomplished in high school, and I was left with like hunger, you know?
That itch.
Yeah. So then I went to wrestle in college. Yeah. I went to UNC. I was a preferred walk-on there, and I was doing the practices at the beginning. They were going through some major changes with the coaching. A coach came in and ended up cutting all the walk-ons. So I got cut from the program. Kind of started doing crappy in school.
Right.
But I still wanted to wrestle. Yeah. And I did a tournament, an open tournament, signed up by myself independently, was training on my own. And I was beating dudes that were like D2, D1, you know. And then I was like, man, what's stopping me from wrestling somewhere else, you know? So I go to this junior college, Northwest Kansas Tech, in Goodland, Kansas.
Wow.
I don't recommend it. But middle of nowhere, you know, Mexican, like out there.
The only brown person
don't feel at home, that's for sure. Yeah, but I go out there and I start wrestling for like a year and a half there. Yeah. And I could feel it. Like I was growing, you know, I was getting bigger, and on top of it, I was like, my level was coming up, you know what I mean? And then once again, I felt like I fell short there. Like I didn't accomplish what I wanted. I was still left with that competition itch, but I was like, you know what? It's over. Like I had no intentions on doing MMA.
Right.
Like at this point, I'm like, I would never do. I had been to an MMA fight. Yeah. And I went with one of my friends one time. It's called Ring of Fire here in Denver.
Oh yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I seen this guy named Brandon Thatch.
Okay.
fight, and he knocks this dude out in the first round. And I was like, man, these guys are crazy.
You're
I
like,
would
no
never.
way. You're like, I'm a wrestler. What is this?
Yeah, I'm like, these guys, I was like, I don't think I could take like a knee or an elbow or something.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I was like, I don't think that's for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, no, like I came home, was like working with the family business and stuff, and my little brother was a freshman in high school. So I became a coach at Horizon, ended up becoming an assistant coach there, and we had hell of a run. Like Alec was probably one of the greatest wrestlers I've ever like got to coach. You know what I mean? He was a monster on the mat, bro. Like no one on his best day, no one could beat him. No one. Yeah, pure athleticism and yeah, but yeah, he was a 4-time state qualifier. Did 3, 4, 5 times as much more as I did ever. You know. And went on the state finals and then lost in the state finals. Damn. And I was like, damn, it's over. Yeah. You know?
Were you living your dream through him kind of?
A little bit. I think that's, and he knew that too. And I think that's what made me so passionate about his growth too, you know? Because I also didn't want him to live with the like regrets that I had, you know? And so when he graduated and I was like done coaching, I was like, man, well, what now?
What's next? Yeah.
And I still had that itch, and I was just like, I couldn't quite like find anything that would satiate that for me. You know what I mean? And then I have my homie Josh. Do you know Josh? He's a barber.
I don't know if I do.
And he used to work at Chris Barbershop. But anyways,
shout out to them.
Yeah, I would go there, and Josh would be like, well, I started cutting hair at this place called Factory X, like. It's a gym here, like, you should go try it out. And I was like, man, he introduced me to one of the fighters there, Oscar Moisty.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, come in. And so I started doing the open classes there. Yeah. And I liked it, you know. I started doing Muay Thai, started doing Jiu-Jitsu. And I felt it right away. I was like, I feel like I could be pretty good at this. Yeah, and then...
The learning curve wasn't that much?
No. It was striking, but not with Jiu-Jitsu.
But you felt like that was the closest thing to what like being on the mat was. Not the closest thing, but like
competition wise, because I started doing jiu-jitsu competitions. I did one with like no jiu-jitsu experience, and I went and won it.
Damn.
Just because wrestling, they hate wrestlers that do that shit. But and I ended up trying out for their team at Factory X, and I made their team and had my first fight. Fought a dude from Elevation who's now my current teammate because I left Factory X. I've had 2 fights with them, and then I thought my career was kind of done because the schedule and the coaching wasn't like doing.
You were still coaching at the high school at this time?
No, I was done coaching at the high school, but I mean like
the coaching. The coaching
at Factory X and stuff. Like
wasn't your vibe?
It wasn't my vibe. Like it was great, and I'm very appreciative and thankful for like coming up through there, but I could tell like for my career it wasn't what was
the right move at the time. Right.
So then I was like, I wanted to focus a little bit more on the restaurant, so I was like, I'm gonna take some time off.
Right.
And I had a broken orbital, so I shattered my orbital, I had surgery, got a metal plate put behind my left eye.
I remember that
black eye.
I remember that. Yeah. I think I was.
That's like around the time I met you.
Yeah, honestly. And it was after that fight, right?
Yeah.
Or was it training?
It was after the fight. I was getting ready for another fight. Right. In sparring, I got hit with an uppercut.
You did. Yeah. It was after your fight. It was sparring. I remember that, and it's kind of like.
Yeah.
I remember having kind of like the brief talk with you, and I was just like, man, like, be mindful of it because it's a serious injury. It's a career-threatening injury if you can't bounce back properly. Right. There's been fighters in every fight game that bounce back, and there's ones that are just like, that's it.
It's also like what your mentality with it too. Like I think I had a terrible mentality. I've broken my orbital twice now, but swear I'm good at this.
I'm good.
I swear to God I'm good.
I'm fine.
Trust me. But the first time I broke it, it was obviously a little bit more serious. But after the surgery and stuff, I kind of just got fat. And so it was like partying and.
Did you get that post depression?
Yeah, for sure. I was like, it's over. Like I'm done. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Like, and then just ate away, drank away, and like, was working and stuff. Yeah. But then I like took some time away from the gym, and then I like. I was kind of like, I'm done. Yeah. And the guy I had first fought, Keenan, he reached out to me and was like, yo, I'm about to fight this wrestler. and I was gonna see if you could come to my
Spar.
gym and like help like spar. Cause,
Wow,
you know,
he needed a training partner.
Yeah, he needed a partner that could like replicate the
Right,
guy he was gonna
exactly.
fight. And I was kind of like, yeah, why not? I'm kind of fat right now. I should probably work
Do
out.
something.
Yeah,
Right? I gotta get back in shape anyways.
Yeah, so I did, and I helped him through that camp, and
did it spark that fire again?
I felt like I was in camp, and then I was like, "Oh, let's go!" Like,
yeah, like
next,
I'm ready.
you know, new team. Started training at the Vital Training System. Shout out, you know, and Elevation Fight Team, and I left, and it was not the easiest change. Like, there was a lot of bad blood at my old gym, and they found out, but it is what it is. It's my career, you know. And like,
I feel like that's a thing, and I think that like in any professional setting, let's just be honest, whether it's like sports, whether it's work,
for sure,
especially if you go into quote unquote the competition, like it's frowned upon. But I've always said this: it's just like at the end of the day, it's you. It's whatever's best for you, right? Like there is such a thing as loyalty, but you're like, hey man, like I got to do what's best for me, for my family, whatever that case may be. And if I don't feel like that's it, like there shouldn't be no bad blood between it, right? About it, there should just be like, all right, dude, it's like new changes, go. Yeah. There's always that thing, but that's neither here nor there.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I've moved past that.
So then you do that way, luego, pues that's where you're at now.
Yeah.
Obviously. How was it? I always like to go back to la familia. So, ¿cómo fue eso cuando le dijiste a tu mamá? Like, you're like, oh, I want to be an MMA fighter. Because obviously moms and pops, they kind of knew what MMA was at that point. They're like, was it like your dad was like cool about it and your mom was like, no?
They were like, no creo que aguantes.
Damn, right
like,
away.
Damn.
You're like, you're trying to bait me to do it.
I'm like, what do you guys think this is?
Yeah.
I'm like, really? And like, no creo que aguantes. And I was like, okay.
More like you couldn't take the ass whoopings, or you couldn't take like the discipline part of it.
No, the ass whoopings. I've always been a pretty disciplined person.
Yeah.
Definitely the ass whoopings. I think they seen like, because they've only seen like the big fights, you know, the John Jones, the like Conor McGregor fights, So they see the like the knockouts and all the like.
They think everything is like
gonna be the highlight, And I like told them I was gonna start doing it, and they were like, okay. Honestly, they've been super. My family's just the most supportive.
I've been at your fights, and then like
they get wild. Huh?
It's besides wild, bro. Like my whole thing, like we're both very family oriented, so. Me da un chingo de orgullo, güey, y lo más chingón es like ver la familia, because we're like that. Como Mexicanos, we're like, if we're riding with you, we're riding with you 1,000%. So it's cool seeing like todos los paisas at these UFC events, at these MMA events, and just like, you know, 1,000% behind it.
Bro.
The best feeling is when like hearing like you guys walk out to like norteños or like mariachi, like bro, that's the type of thing that like fills our heart. Te poder, güey, like te llena de orgullo, way. So that it's so badass seeing, like, shout out to your family, because you know, I've met them all and they're fucking amazing. So qué chingón, güey, que tus papás were like behind you.
100%. They've always been super supportive. I mean, they hate watching me get hit. They hate watching me cut weight more than anything.
That's what I wanted to talk about, güey. Una de las cosas que like mucha gente no like. I want to say it's like the taboo or the dark part. Probably, my opinion, the darkest part of the sport is the weight cutting, and it's dangerous. It's really unhealthy, way. Let's just be honest. It's really unhealthy. For you. There's been people that literally have died. There's been fighters that have died cutting weight from dehydration, strokes, and I think it's one of those things that happens a lot in boxing and MMA specifically. Güey. Cuéntale a la gente como que no sabe what is weight cutting, porque obviamente we walk around at a certain way, right? You have your natural weight, whatever that is for anyone, right? If you walk around like at 200 pounds, but when you guys make these fight contracts, it's like, okay, we're fighting at 180 pounds, for example, right? So then you, as a 200-pound man, have to now make it to 180 pounds just for one moment at the weigh-in, right?
Yep.
So that means you have to cut, usually in this case, 20 pounds, 20 libras, in what, like 3 months, depending on when you find out about the fight?
Yeah, it just depends. When you
the healthy way would be to do it across the 3 months.
6 to 8 weeks would be a nice full camp to do it. That's like more than enough time. I shouldn't even talk, but you shouldn't be out of that range.
Right.
You know what I mean? To compete at that weight if you really want to be serious at that weight.
Yeah, like if you crash, because I know people that have crashed cut, and it's
Yeah.
That's the unhealthiest part.
I mean, I've done it.
Yeah. I think everyone's done it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
every fighter has had some nasty cuts.
yeah.
Some more than others.
What's that? What's that like? Wait, I want to talk on that specifically, like the crash cuts. What do you feel like? Does it feel like? I've heard you're on edge because like hormones are all messed up. You're obviously like depleted,
bro,
stress,
cortisol levels, all that stuff. It's so the way it works is you have, let's say it's a 6-week camp. You have like 5 weeks to get your body fat down as low as you can get
single
it. Right?
digits.
Yes, as low as you can get it. So, for example, I was weighing 155 a month ago. You know, 155. Honestly, I was a little heavy.
Yeah.
And I started working with the nutritionist. They give you the plan, but they don't make your food and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so you got to do the actual execution of it.
That's the part of like an up and coming fighter, right? Like this isn't like UFC. Like you have a cook. Yeah. Like tengo un entrenador. I have a nutritionist. Like nah, bro. Like you're doing all the work. Right?
They just send you the
Meal plan,
blueprints, you know, and you just have to like execute it properly.
Right.
And it's hard. But anyways, you bring your body fat percentage down, and then come 5 week, it's a water manipulation. So what you do is, like, I would like to be like 140 by 5 week, right?
Right. And this is if you're fighting. This is if you're trying to get to what weight?
125.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. That just makes me think about
that. No, and okay, continue
yeah,
so people
so then you like Monday, Tuesday, you start like chugging water, like you're drinking like 2 gallons of water,
right?
And then you start to do like by like Wednesday you start depleting your sodium levels, so you don't
no more salt,
no seasoning on your food and stuff like that.
Bland food,
it's like rubber chicken. You know? That's what it looks like.
Oh god.
Or eggs. My go-to is just eggs, because eggs like you don't need a ton of or you could hard boil, you know, and just
it tastes like egg.
Yeah. And but yeah, so then you'll do that, and what's happening is your body's like, you're flushing out all this water, and your body's not retaining any more water. You know what I mean? So then
you're just dry.
So every morning you're like
shredded
check your weight, and you're like losing like ton of weight throughout the day as the more water you drink. You're peeing like 3 times an hour, bro. It's
wild,
annoying.
Yeah.
And then let's say you weigh in on Friday.
Yeah.
Then on Thursday, let's say I weigh in Friday like in the afternoon or like midday. Thursday you start like part of your cut. You'll start hitting the sauna. Throw some sweet sweat on your body.
Really trying to sweat out the last bit of moisture, water that you have in your body. Just trying to sweat it out.
Yeah, and this is the hard part.
This is what I feel like most people do see. Like when they do see like the UFC behind the scenes type of stuff.
Yeah.
This is when you see like fighters wrapped up in towels in the hotel room, saunas, or the bathroom, and just
bathtubs,
like hot water. That's what people see. But there's a whole part before it.
Yeah, the process, if you don't do the
if you don't do it right
part, if you still intake sodium, then your body's gonna hold onto that water whether you like it or not.
You're not gonna make the weight.
And you won't make the weight. So
then you're like a few hours before, then that's when you just have to sweat it out.
Yeah, and you're just in
and
there.
That's miserable.
Yeah, because you're just in there, and then you get out, and then you get in, and then you get out. Like 30 minutes in, 10 minutes in the towels. 30 minutes in the sauna, 10 minutes in the towel.
What's your mental like then? Like what's is it like pure suffering? Are you hallucinating?
I start off pretty good spirits. You just come to the acceptance of like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
Accept it and
get to it,
and let's just move on.
And then once we step off the scale,
just think tomorrow
I'm drinking
you'll be able
something.
to eat.
Right.
Yeah, like
right.
Tomorrow, this time tomorrow, that's what gets me through. I'm like, this time tomorrow, I'm eating
pizza.
I'm eating
tacos,
sushi,
something.
like tacos.
You're like your favorite drink, exactly.
Yeah.
But there is this. I've always seen it, bro, because you do have to have this mental fortitude. Like you got to be mentally strong.
Yeah.
But even then, like I know fighters, even homies that bodybuild or homegirls that bodybuild, they're another one, very similar weight cut process. But even the strong-minded ones, the strong-willed ones, they're like, dude, there's sometimes in there where you're just like, you're ready to tap out. You're ready to just call it quits.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it does take your train, like, yo, get your ass back in there.
It takes your team. Yeah, your team is what gets you. Like
gotta have
my
a good
last
circle.
one, they were like, I was ready to be like, nah, fuck
Cut it off.
Like,
call
I'm
the
not
fight
gonna
off.
make it.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, get back in the tub. Like I was doing like you could do the sauna method or you could do the hot bath, you know?
Yeah.
and they both suck.
Yeah.
I think the sauna's better because there's room in the sauna, so you don't feel so like claustrophobic.
Right.
But yeah, there was actually this one moment where they took me out of the tub. At this point, I was already hallucinate. Like I was kind of like in my own world. Like you know,
your body, no strength, just like
yeah,
rubber legs.
You're just not there anymore.
Right.
And I was like laying in the towels, and I was like, I put my hands on my side, and I was like feeling
The
next
ground?
to me,
Yeah.
you know, and I go, "Yo, Keenan, the water's empty. There's no water in the tub." And
You
they're
thought
all
you were
like,
still in the tub.
yeah.
Oh,
And they're all like, I know they're all looking at each other like,
Oh, we
shit,
killed him.
Like, hopefully he doesn't pass out. But that's their job too, you know,
Right.
to make sure like they don't
Monitoring
push me past
you,
that limit,
right.
you know. And obviously, you
¿Qué
know,
dijiste? Estoy en Cancún.
yeah,
Like,
I'm just like, man, the
tráigame
sun
una
is
margarita,
hitting, and,
right.
yeah. No, and so then they're like, bro, you're not in the tub, and I was like,
oh shit, I'm not.
oh no. And then they had to go back in there.
And then you're like, hey, and by the way, you still got another 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and then I go to, so then we have to leave to weigh-ins,
Yeah.
and I get to the weigh-in place, and I'm like, and it's so awkward because it's at, do you know where the Blue Sports Table is?
Yeah.
Like in Superior?
Mhm.
It's like a bar,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And so there's a bunch of people in this bar, just normal, regulars, drinking.
Patrons, yeah.
And then like on the other half of it, there's like
Half naked
people like half
dudes,
naked,
just, like, depleted
yeah,
skeletons.
Yeah, it looks crazy. And then you have me that's like, I'm like, I can't even walk
Right.
straight. Like I'm like, I look like a Holocaust like survivor, bro. My
Respectful,
face
yes.
is
It looks
respectful, yeah.
crazy because you do see like everyone does go in with like
Mm-hmm.
these skeleton faces, and you know when you make these when you go into these weigh-ins, you see the fighters. Everyone's face is just sunken in.
You see the bones.
You see the bones. The eyes are just like
Yeah.
So it's one of those things I've always wondered because I'll see y'all, I'll see fighters, and anyone that does it that has to make weight. Like, what's running through your mind?
There's
And
nothing
especially
in
because
there.
there's like, it's like this, right? It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, and we're doing this in a back room with like a
Yeah.
commissioner that's it. Like, you have to stand in front of people.
Yeah.
Obviously, on a bigger stage, it's like hundreds of people and bright
Mhm.
lights. But even then, like, you're still in a crowd full
Yeah.
of people, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So it's like sensory overload, and you're out of it.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you're out
And
of
you
it.
still want to look tough,
Right?
Because your opponent, like I now knowing Keenan,
Yeah.
like, so when we fought,
Yeah.
when I showed up to weigh-ins,
Yeah.
it was in Greeley that time, and I was not there. Like
Yeah.
I was lights on, no one's home type
Right.
shit, you know. And I walk in, and I'm like dying, you know, and we face off. After you step on the scale, they give you like 10 minutes to like
Drink
drink some
yeah.
liquids. That's what's
Yeah.
most important.
Right, right.
You
Some
drink some
Pedialyte,
liquids,
yeah.
and then we faced off. But I'm like this. I'm like the most unintimidating person ever, bro.
And that's the thing. Like we forget, you're out of it. Your body's depleted. I would you compare it to like that point where you're about to? If anyone's ever passed out or
Yeah.
like really hungry, like it's like
Yeah.
that. So you're like that, and the main moment before the actual fight that everyone remembers
Yeah.
is the face off, right?
Yeah.
So it's the picture. It's that thing.
Hey, you still want to look
You
like
still want to
know?
look tough. So
Yeah.
I'm imagining that's damn near hard because you're just like, bro, I just want some food right
I
now.
don't even care
Yeah,
about
like,
facing out.
yeah, like,
Especially if dudes are like trying to get in your face and
You're
talk
right.
shit. I'm like, bro,
bro,
not right
like
now.
I don't know. I think I'm in Cancun right now. I don't even
Yeah,
know
I'm
what's
like,
going
we're
on.
gonna fight tomorrow, bro. Like,
let's
figure
do
out
it.
tomorrow.
That's funny. Have you ever had like a really pre-fight? Has tenido like bad blood? Has it ever been like personal yet?
I haven't had too many yet, but I have had like guys running their mouths a little bit. My last fight,
Yeah.
the guy was just like, "Oh, you look like shit. You look like shit." And I
Trying to
looked
make
at
it
him and I
personal.
go, "I feel like shit."
Yeah, I do.
I'm like, "Good job." Like, yeah, we'll
Good-
see. I'll see you
good diss,
tomorrow,
bro.
That's
Good
it.
diss.
You know? I don't like talk a whole lot of
No.
shit when it comes to like the lead up.
Mhm.
I think it just makes you look dumb. I'm not like fighting in the UFC. I'm
Right.
not, you know.
No
there's
one's at that
need
level
for it
yet. Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
need for it yet. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, if you were, you got to keep in mind, like we were just saying that the baddest dudes, it don't matter how much skill you have, and if
Yeah.
you do have hands, and if you are on a KO streak where you're knocking everyone out, you could lose. So you look
Yeah.
that much dumber, like running your mouth and then just lights
Plus, I
out.
think a lot of people do it to like compensate because they know they're intimidated, but they're trying to show that they're not. You
Or they're
know?
trying to get it under their skin.
And I'm not. Like
Yeah.
I go out there, like I may have only have a couple, like I may only have 4 fights, but I have hundreds of wrestling matches
Right.
on high level, you know, like
Right.
I've had to work through the nerves and
Right.
and all that stuff of competing multiple times in one day against, you know, national champs
Right.
and stuff like that. So it's just like you just if you get your mind right, like I'm chilling
Yeah.
leading up to the fight. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
You're more of that.
Yeah.
I do see that from you. With you're more of that like laid back,
Mm-hmm.
energy. It's kind of like, yeah,
Yeah, like
we're
I
gonna
can
handle it.
I can be a dick and I can talk shit,
Right.
but I just haven't felt
Choose
the need for
right,
it yet.
right, right.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I feel the same way. It's like it's that confidence. You're like, my hands work, and
Yeah.
when I need them to, they're
Yeah.
gonna work. Like that's when I
Yeah.
do it because I'm not gonna. I don't want to. We don't need to talk. Like
Yeah, I just remember the last guy. He was like a high level wrestler too.
Right.
He won like a national title the year that I didn't even qualify for nationals
Mm.
in junior college and stuff. So leading up into it, I had that in the back of my head still, obviously, you know.
Right.
But he was just like, I don't know why everyone keeps saying you're a wrestler. You're not a wrestler, and I was like.
Jeez.
I'll you're
show you
right.
tomorrow.
I'm a mixed martial artist now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I've evolved, you know, and we're about to fight now. We're not gonna go out there and
You're
wrestle.
like we're standing up, and immediately you go for the
Yeah,
takedown.
and I just knew I was like, I just want to be the first one that hits him, and I
Yeah.
want to see his face,
Yeah.
and then I'll know.
Okay.
And I went out there, threw a leg kick, and he kind of was like, oh shit, and I was like,
he felt it.
I'm
And I
good.
think that's interesting because if you've ever have fought someone, or even if it's like a regular fight, like you can tell immediately like where you stand
Yeah.
physically against someone. And it is usually that first shot. Even if you take a shot, if you feel someone power,
Yeah.
or if you give someone a shot, you'll see immediately, and or you can tell it's like, all right, this person can hit or they can't hit.
Yeah.
Or I can take their shot or I can't take their shot.
Yeah.
What happens if you do feel a shot and you're like, damn, this guy does hit harder than I
Oh
thought?
yeah, no, I've
You gotta
definitely-
strategize.
Yeah, you just gotta stay chill. Like, you know, like, okay, that's fine. He hits hard.
Yeah.
Like, or he's wrestling or it's cardio. Cardio is the scariest thing. I think
This guy doesn't get tired.
cardio is like the scariest weapon you could
Yeah.
have in MMA. Because if you could be like all right at something,
Yeah.
but if you can do that for the entire fight when I can only be
At that
really
level?
good
Yeah.
for like one round or
Yeah.
something at something, then it just like they can start to beat you.
You get
That's
mentally
when you start
defeated.
to see like dudes in the third round fade and or like in boxing you see it a lot. Like dudes come out there
Later
strong,
rounds.
boom, boom, boom. And Mayweather's a king of cardio.
Oh, yeah.
He in the later rounds
It looks the same.
he looks the same, even better sometimes. He
Yeah.
starts piecing them up. He's just making reads,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, when he does this, when I do this, he does this, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
And
you
I think
know?
that's part of mentally defeating the fighter because you see him and then it's like, oh shit, this guy's
Yeah.
still at that. He's
Yeah.
still in that gear, that really high gear, and I'm tired of shit. So
Yeah.
that's when I'm sure it gets
That's
tricky.
a little bit, like, I've heard many fighters say that, like, the thing that they're scared of the most in a fight is getting
Gassing out.
tired. Yeah, gassing out. It is. I was just listening to Jorge Masvidal talk, and he was like, I'm terrified of getting tired.
Because you really, even if you do everything right, you do your training camp right, if you hydrate right, there's sometimes where you, as an athlete, you just don't have it that day, or you gas out,
Yeah.
and it's hard to tell. Like you don't know what it was. If it was your sleep, if something was
Yeah.
off, if it's something you like, you didn't hydrate properly. But yeah, that's the word when you're trying to compete at
Yeah.
anything, and then your tank runs out. You're just like, fuck.
It's scary because
Yeah.
you'd be in the corner and they like put the stool down.
Yeah.
It's happened to me in one fight.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, I couldn't feel my legs. I was just like, dang, like what's about to happen?
Right.
And the fight was a little closer than it should have been. I
Yeah.
think I was.
It was because of that.
Yeah, I don't want to make excuses for myself, but it was my fault that I think my cardio was like that. And but yeah, once you're in there, they're like, all right, time to get off the stool, and
You're
I'm
like,
just like,
no.
I'm
Can you do
not
another 5
on
minutes?
it.
I need 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I'm
What's-
stuck to this stool, man.
What's the worst? What's the worst ass whooping you've ever taken away? Like even if it was like a street fight, even if it was like your mom, your dad,
Oh,
like
jeez.
what's the word? Like la peor putiza que te han dado, güey. Like you're just like, yeah, it's like I had to take this.
Man, there's so many.
Yeah, no, there is.
Nah, I think so. Like in fighting,
Yeah.
for sure. It was like a couple of my sparring sessions over at Factory X with this dude. He's probably gonna be in the UFC soon. Shout out Luis.
Yeah.
Dude, that dude is a killer.
Is he?
He puts it on you, just walks you down. Scary looking dude too.
Jeez.
Just starts hitting you with hooks and just
Yeah.
everything, dude. And you're just like, Man, I'm in here for 2 more rounds of this dude, whatever the sparring rounds were for that day, and I just eating him, and he's a really good wrestler, so I was like, let me try taking him down. Nah.
Nope.
And then let me try doing this. Nope, no. That's a pretty bad one. That's been in the ring, In wrestling, I've taken many, like bad whoopings. Like there's this dude, Ryan Deacon. He ended up becoming a national champ for Northwestern, and he's a high-level wrestler.
He just dominated you.
Dude, 3 times in one season, just whooped my ass my senior year. We went 44-0 that year, but he had everyone's number and it wasn't even close. So and then obviously the worst ones of them all have all been for my brothers. My older brothers. I'm the second youngest of 6, so there's been countless times,
ass whooped.
Chingas de tus papás,
those are the best ones because like there was like a little streak where like I think we all were like knuckleheads and just like
for sure
teenagers and constantly fighting and like like just being troublemakers on the street. So I remember being like, bro, like you get scared. They would be like, you don't get scared, like fighting like random asses. Like I was like, bro, the only thing I'm scared of is my mom.
Yeah.
Like that's who I'm afraid of. Like coming at me. Like I'm not afraid of another dude.
My mom would just be like, le voy a decir a tu papá. And
that was the worst.
Damn.
That was the worst.
No,
You're
don't
like,
do that.
no.
I'm sorry. Next thing you know, you're doing the dishes and stuff.
Esa era la mejor amenaza. You're like, cuando llegue a la casa tu papá, le voy a decir, and you're like, I'm about to get my ass whooped.
You just know there's no way around it.
No way around it. You're going to get that. As a paisa kid, you're like, you're going to get that belt or that hand to the back. That's how we were raised. Like, now we weren't abused by any means. But I feel like
I never got an ass whooping I didn't deserve. That's the way
Same.
Pero
hablamos eso last time. We were like, bro, that was... Yeah. Like, I'm grateful, low-key, for the ass whoopings because I feel like we were never, like, spoiled kids or, like, we could never run our mouths. Like, if we even looked at our parents the wrong way, they could just, with a look, you'd be like, damn, I'm getting an ass whooped.
You're just like, I should shut up.
I'm going to get my ass whooped. So
one thing I'll say, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in... One of the worst ass whoopings I got was in Disneyland.
Disneyland? From your mom?
Bro, we're at Disneyland, and like for my parents to take all of us, all 6 of us,
it's a big deal.
It's never happened, and it's not like they were rich. They didn't have bread,
and Disneyland's expensive as fuck.
Yeah, and so like the flights, all that stuff, and we're out there and it was just a lot dealing with all of us and stuff. And then we get back to the hotel right after we left Universal Studios, and we're there for still a couple more days. But my parents, they get these like pizzas delivered to the room, and with the 2-liter sodas, we're all just eating pizza and stuff. And they serve my dad the 2 liters that they got. It was Sprite. Yeah. And I was just like a brat at the time. I was a little kid. And I was just like, I don't want Sprite. I don't like Sprite. Blah, 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 blah. And my dad and my mom are like, all right.
Pinche morro malagradecido.
Yeah. They're like trying to keep it cool. Like, we're on vacation. All right. They tell my brother Bradley, llévalo al pasillo para que escoja otra soda, from the machine. And I was like, oh, bet.
Yeah.
All right.
Got my way.
So I go, and I click Sierra Mist. And
oh my God, really? The brand was what you wanted.
And I click it, and my brother Bradley looked at me and was just like, "You fucked up, like you fucked up." And I'll walk into the room, and my dad's like, "¿Qué agarraste?" And yo,
you're like Sierra Mist because Sprite tastes different.
I was like Sierra Mist, and my dad got pissed, bro. Next thing you know, I get my ass whipped in the hotel, launching my ass across the room. And all my brothers are just sitting there
watching you, laughing, probably.
Quiet, because like if you laugh, you're next.
Then you're next.
Shit,
That's so funny. I mean, like, half the times you keep your mouth shut because you get your ass beat, or they're like roasting you because they're like you deserve it. Mine I remember like one of the ones. I don't know what I did, dude, but I remember creo que le rezongué a mi mamá or something, and I like talked back to her. My brothers were fucking. I got 2 older brothers. Pero they were, my mom was just, I was older. I was kind of like middle school or like, probably like middle school. And then she's just like, I'm going to whoop your ass. Like, keep it out and whoop your ass. And I remember I kind of like taunted her. And she's like, oh, hell no. So agarró la chancla. And she starts chasing me around the house. And I was a little bit older, so I could outrun her. Too. So I'm like kind of laughing and I'm running. So like I think it's really funny, like how
Yeah.
he I run out of the house. I'm like I run out to the street. I'm like she's never
Yeah.
gonna catch me, right? So then she just kind of gangster, like she's just like, all right, cool. She just like walks back to the house. And I remember like when I was still in the street, she's like, you got to come back in the house anyways.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, I do, right? So like walk back towards the house. Y ahí está mi mamá, güey, en la puerta con la chancla. And I'm just like, and then like it dawns on me, bro. And I like start crying. I'm just like, mamá, perdón. And she's like, métete pa dentro que te va a poner chinga. And I'm just like, no, I start crying. And my fucking brothers, güey, just culeros, start recording me and just laughing at me. I'm like, fuck. And then like, I think she got me like, rest in peace, like that kind soul. I think she just hit me once just to be like, did you ever fucking do it again? But she didn't really beat my ass. And I was just terrified. I was like, damn. But we deserved it. Like, we deserved it because we were being bratty ass little kids. And then after that, you're just like, I'm never going to do it again.
Yeah, and now when I tell, like, it's funny because I tell it to a paisa and they laugh, right?
Yeah.
You tell it to like
non-Latinos and they're like, oh my God.
They're like, do you have childhood trauma? And I'm like, nah, that was just a Tuesday.
They're like, it's todos los días, güey. It's funny because you do tell like amigos que that are not, because I feel like Latinos for the most part, but yeah, les dices amigos que no, like, and they're just like,
yeah.
Did they call the cops? Like, did you like? You're like, no.
I'm on. No, we ate pizza after.
You're like, I said
chilling.
sorry. We're chilling, and then like I told her I was sorry.
My fucking ass
was
sore.
They're like, I had like a little welt, and that was it. And then like, that was just like but I wasn't a spoiled kid.
Then we went to Disneyland and I had fun.
I wasn't a spoiled brat, but that's funny. I think we all went through that way, and I think a lot of people can relate. They're just like, las chingas. Shout out to our parents for todas las chingas que nos pusieron. So basically, you're like now, every time you face an appointment, you're like, bro, you're not gonna hit me harder than my mom, my dad, everyone. So you're like, you can't beat me.
Yeah.
You can't beat me. No way. He goes, thank you for coming on, bro. I know you have a fight coming up. Tell me a little bit about the fight, when it is, all that good stuff.
All right, June 22nd, LFA. It's going to be at Magnus Arena.
Denver, Colorado.
DU.
DU,
yeah.
Correct.
And, I'll probably be, like, one of the first fights and stuff, so don't show up late, you know? If you want to see the real show, you show up on time,
We'll link all the stuff, bro, so people can show up and
yeah, I got a link in my bio on Instagram.
I'll make sure to
Aaron _ Beltran. So.
Yeah, Aaron Beltran on Instagram?
Yep.
Perfecto, carnal. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. I see big things coming, bro. We've been to the fights. I wouldn't just say it just to say it because, like, I'm brutally honest. So I'll be like, bro, you gotta hang him up. Hang it up. Like, I don't know if it's for you, dog. Right? You got it. No, pero I love seeing the growth. I love seeing how you're out there and constantly evolving. Right? Like learning new skills, taking those L's. Part of learning is taking those ass whoopings, 100%. You know what I mean, and leveling up. So I see big things coming, carnal. I'm super grateful for being here and go crush it.
Thank you. Absolutely. This is the first of many. Let's keep them going. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely,
I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.